things around if we need to. There's already a bunch of stuff that senators have asked me about for this quarter, so if you're a senator that's thinking about writing a bill, don't put it off. Get on it early, because halfway through the quarter, if we do enough, there's a chance that the Senate could be out of funds. So hop on it and let me know if I can help you.
Awesome. We did this reference because I know Dr. Geist is a big Breaking Bad fan, so I thought he'd enjoy that. Okay, continuing on.
Dr. Geist, you ever watch Breaking Bad?
Well, we'll have to show you sometime. Dr. Crawford, that's who it was. Okay, the Madam Secretary's report.
Hey everybody, happy spring quarter. Okay, some important dates that we have coming up are Political Action Week. That's going to be next week. We also have International. Yeah! The following week is going to be International Women's Week, so get excited about that too.
Yeah, women.
When's the big event, April? It's April 23rd. The big event's on April 23rd. We also have elections coming up on April 7th and 8th, and the interest meetings for those are going to be Thursday and Friday at 5 p.m. Ethan, where are they going to be?
Here.
In Davis?
In Davison on 123. Yes. Davison
Wait,
123.
I thought we said GT. I thought we said
Yeah, in Davison 130.
113? 113?
No, 123.
I'm sorry.
We'll make sure that's clear up.
Davison building. Okay, sorry. Davison 123.
It is in Davison, on the first floor. Excellent.
All right. But yeah, so if y'all are planning on running for any positions, whether that's Senate, exec, anything like that, you need to go to at least one of those meetings so that way you can get your applications and you can learn everything you need to know. Kiara?
So, as y'all know, only people in this room can run for SGA exec, and we've had some kind of lackluster participation. So, believe in yourself, and if you are at all interested at all, like you have that, just like maybe I could do that, like probably not, but like maybe I could, come talk to one of us, and you probably could. And it's kind of fun sometimes. And we really want to have good voter turnout, so competition is also, and everybody wants to be involved, we want everybody to be involved, and we want y'all to get excited because we have a passionate executive, we have a passionate SGA. And also tell your little friends that aren't in this room to run for senator, and tell them about the interest meetings too. So all the groups you're in, let them know. If you think somebody would be good at it, if you think somebody would be interested in it, let's talk to them. And if that's not for them, also tell them that when the new exec is elected, there will be cabinet positions open too. Good? We need to communicate with people. Perfect.
Awesome. Anything
Enjoy.
else?
Have a great week.
Oh, good. All right. The advisory report.
Hey guys, I know we have a few visitors, so I don't want to take up a whole lot of time. There are a few things I want to tell you. One, if you're planning on running for one of those executive positions, I cannot urge you enough. Please schedule some time to visit with me, because as good as these guys can shine some light into what those positions look like, I promise you, there are things that you're going to want to hear from me to help you prepare for that role if you're strongly considering doing it. So please, whether maybe you're just even on the fence and thinking about running, come have a conversation with me and let me help you to kind of paint a little picture of what it looks like from my plan and how I can help. Ty talked about some different things that the Senate has come to him about. One thing I want to make sure you guys remember, we got 10 weeks in a quarter, okay? It sometimes takes a little while to get things processed through, okay? There's different things that we just have to give a little bit of time. Remember, I would ask for your grace and understanding. I am down one person in my department. There is a lot of stuff that comes through my department. So if you throw something at me on a Monday, I will try to get back to you on a Monday, but I can't promise that. So I would ask you to temper your expectations, okay, and give yourself enough time for me to do my due diligence and go check the purchasing on things and to make sure we have time to get W-9s and supplier invoices and all this different stuff. Those things take more time than you might realize, and sometimes they're not always as cut and dry as you might think that they are. So please, give us a little bit of time so that me and Ty can work together and figure out what we need to do with that. Third thing, if you're in your Greek life, talk to your executive people. I'm carrying over some some of that role. I do have grease grades, so if you can help me kind of make sure that your leaders are coming to get their grades, that would be helpful to me. The fourth thing, keep in mind, as I just mentioned, that I am down one person, and there's a lot to happen. Y'all, I'm utilizing the RARA app more than I have in any other thing this year. You can book time with me through the RARA app. It's a great feature where it'll match your availability to my availability when you go to schedule time with me. It's kind of cool, to be honest with you. So download the RARA app. It's the red and blue R, not the green one. And you can book time with me. Maybe just shoot me a little note. You can still say, hey, I just sent you a request on RARA. We're still working through some notification stuff on it. But it is probably the most effective way to get time with me, because I'm all over the place right now. You can ask Elizabeth, who saw today. It took, 12 o'clock was a crazy hour. So it may not look like it's going to be crazy, and it gets crazy like that. So if I have time booked with you, it helps me to be committed to that. Do y'all have any questions for me on any of that? All right, thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. West. Cabinet reports. I know we have one already filed cabinet report, yes? So we will wait until we get to y'all. Okay, come on.
The International Scholarship Dinner is not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So you should sign up to volunteer. You should also come by a ticket whenever we have booth this Thursday from 9 to 5. So I better see a lot of y'all there because it really matters to have representation.
Thank you. Sports.
Hey guys, I just want to say, first of all, thank y'all for coming out. I thought it did go first go this past weekend. It was a really great turnout, and I know the teams appreciated it. I know it was a good atmosphere. We didn't get the outcome we wanted, but they're still happy and they're still trying to prepare for next season. But the women's team play on Thursday against Houston. We played them before, and I know they have some I know my friends in Houston, their team, and they're going to bring Shreveport with them. So I know it's going to be a huge crowd. So we want a huge crowd for that as well. Tickets can be found on the athletics app, where you can get your student tickets and whatnot, and all that good jazz. We also have a home track meet on the 19th, and it's going to be right at the back, of course. But everyone's free to come, go watch them, and yeah, we'll make it sports.
Sports. Great. Hold on. Max, I saw it up first. Go ahead, Mr.
Campus activities, we'll be having Campus Safety Week. It'll be the first week of May. We're still working out the exact events we're going to have. Just letting y'all know that we're going to put it on the calendar. It should be on the SGA calendar. Also, if you're involved in any organizations, whether it's Greek life, professional boards within your college, please send me their availability when they're meeting. Campus Activities wants to go out and try to go to as many meetings as possible to answer questions about SGA, get the word out about elections, and all that good stuff. So if you have any other various boards, from debate team to Greek life to random co-ed board, please let us know when to meet.
Thank you. Internal affairs.
Yeah, hey guys, so looking to add another championship to the SGA intramural lineup this year. Woo! Not in football, sadly, but in softball. So if you're interested in playing softball, we're about to send a little Google sheet.
No, you're not. Don't send that.
Okay, not about sending.
Thank you.
You send it to me, so then I can
Put it in the folder.
That is how it works now, as you can reference in the director's drive, Jacob.
Thanks, Director. Anyways, that's how it
Was an embarrassment. I love my teak president, Mr. President. That's just how we're doing things, okay? Continue, please.
It's a learning curve, Gary.
It is. It's fine.
Probably 13 people, so y'all can just sign up. That's all I got.
Okay. Evan?
I recently was in a league before this announcement was made somewhere else. But that league was to the ESPN Tournament Challenge bracket. I want everyone to go make a bracket, fill one out. It's really fun to do. If you don't know, you can press a button and it'll autofill for you. So fill one out. There's going to be some internal prizes from the coach work from internal players. So,
You also have 1 in 500 million odds of winning a ridiculous amount of money. So.
Yeah, so sign up for the win too.
You are that 1 in 5. Do it.
When you press a button and it just makes it.
Yep.
Also based on mascots. Go Bengals.
Kinsley, please.
We had 3 ad girls, so Lindsay, Colton, Roddy, Erica Christian got accepted to the University of Houston for grad school. And Annalise Russell graduated from undergrad. All the girls stand up.
Come on, girls. Yeah.
Right, 1, 2, 3.
That's all we got. Thank you, Internal Affairs. Ethan.
So a couple of things, just a political action week reminder, Elizabeth had the dates up there. We are also going to be doing our spring order poll throughout the week, so directors or senators or even Supreme Court, if you guys want me to add any questions to the previous poll, I will be making that tonight as well, so I'll send a message whenever I finish. If you guys want to go scroll through it, you can go onto the drive to look at mine. So that's another thing that we'll be doing. I am, brain is very slow right now, so actually the election interest meetings are in George T. Madison. 123, so in the lecture hall at 5 p.m. on Thursday and Friday. And then also a couple things, just be on the lookout. We're going to be doing a lot more voting initiatives for this election cycle, so initiatives within the separate colleges and stuff like that. I'm going to be reaching out to the deans. So if you guys are interested in assisting with that, please help me out with that. I'm just one man, and cycling on Texas campus is really hard. So I could really use the support, and everybody, if you're interested, just come talk to me after the meeting about it.
Thanks, Ethan. That slip up, you're fired, but it's okay. You can run again next year. All right. Kelly, go ahead.
Okay, so we have heard a lot of events tonight, and what does that mean? A lot of graphics. And what does a lot of graphics mean? It means that we're all going to post those graphics, right? Because we've made it so easy, like with Political Action Week, or as I lovingly call it, Paul, because it's on brand, and we know Louisiana has brand bulldogs and all the things. Paul, Political Action Week, we're posting about that tomorrow at 12 lunchtime, 12 p.m. So I better see everybody post about Paul. You know, let's all post about Paul. And then Paul. And then when we talk about, Campus Safety Week, and we talk about Big Event, all these really great events, because thank God we're able to do events again, we're going to post about those so that people know what's going on with SGA, because we want people to come to these events, because that's the point of them, right, is to make people aware we're engaging the student body. We're not being just SGA, it's not just us, it's about our student body, because what do we say on our tours? We're representing the student body, so we want to be there and interact with the student body and giving them the option to come, so that's why we post the graphics. We've made it so easy. And also, with things that are being announced tonight, let's post things so that information, that we can share it, engage people, educate people, write things that I've been saying the whole quarter or the whole year.
Thank you, Kelly.
So on and so forth.
Victoria, you can come forward. We will post the graphics. Thank you. All right, now on to International Women's Week. We have a whole presentation about it. Please yield these ladies your full attention. They have worked hard, and I have assimilated it all in our format. Okay, ladies, I will help you with this if y'all like to.
Yeah.
Whatever works.
Okay,
I got to do this and this. So.
Yeah, I got you. I'll just let you know when to go.
Yep.
Okay, y'all. Get excited. Get excited. We had International Women's Week. It's the first time we're doing this, so we kind of want to see what works, what doesn't work for next year. It's going to be a lot of fun. So you can next slide. So first day, Monday, March 28th. And if y'all have better titles, y'all let me know, because I'm not a creative person. So day one is Coffee and Compliments from 11 to 2 p.m. in Centennial Plaza. We are going to have a big banner there. We're going to get catering from Airmark with coffee and pastries. And we're going to have people, they can come up and just write down women that have inspired them,
or draw something, just something kind of engaging and fun for the student body. And then we might hang that up in Tolliver or go hang it up in the Office of Multicultural Affairs. But what we need from y'all, we need people to set up, tear down, and people there to hand out coffee and pastries and just monitor the banner. We're gonna have a speaker, some music, so it's gonna be really fun, pretty low key. The sign up times are about an hour, and I'll put all the sign up links from this are gonna be in the Google Drive. So on Tuesday,
This is my favorite event. It's called Henna in the Drums. And the idea behind this is to empower international and ethnic women like me. And it's going to be 11 to 2 in Centennial Plaza. So the idea behind this is if you're going to volunteer for this, just make sure you're not doing anything like any type of like cultural appropriation, anything. So we're going to be like putting hijabs on girls who want to wear them, putting henna on girls who want to wear them too. So if you're not from those ethnicities who would do something like that, don't try to mess with it. Just come, be hype, like support, and help us pass out flyers for other events too.
all we need y'all to do for that is just come and have a good time, come get a cute little tattoo, just show up and bring your friends. So Wednesday is a double day. So the afternoon, we are going to have some sort of giveaway event. We're still kind of hammering the details out about that, but it's going to be 11 to 2 p.m. in the L booth. And for that, we need people to sign up to hand out things. More information will come about that. That evening, we are having the Tech PD come for a self-defense class in the Tonk from 6 to 7 p.m. They're just going to teach a few basic moves, just to help us feel a little bit safer walking around campus. What we need for that, bring your friends. Y'all come too. It's going to be a lot of fun. They're really excited to come and teach us some hand combat stuff. So Thursday.
So the next day, we also have two things going on. So during the day, we're gonna have a tag clothing swap, and I think it's really important that we're collabing with TAG for International Women's Week for representation. So basically, we're just gonna be chilling. I'm gonna try to get like a bunch of little like pronoun pins that we can pass out and things like that. But this is just kind of like show up, be there, be present, show your face kind of thing. And that should be maybe 11 to 2 in the Tonk, but that's still being like figured out. And the next thing that's happening that day is a Women in Leadership panel. And so that's gonna be from 6 to 7:30 in Howard. And it's gonna be people like me, ISA President, Kiara, I think Sarah also. We're trying to like cover a lot of bases and have a bunch of different kinds of women in power on campus. And the idea behind it is it's kind of like Kiara's speech. It's like a Q&A type deal. So you can come, you can ask questions, learn what it's like to be a woman in power on Tech's campus kind of deal. And so anyone who shows up, you can come, you can be hyped, you can submit questions. Again, like this is just kind of like be present, be active, yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of it's not meant to be a debate of any kind. We're just going to be celebrating a bunch of women leaders on campus and like their leadership roles, their accomplishments in college, stuff like that. So y'all should definitely come. And if you're in one of the organizations that's participating, and that list is going out later this week along with the questionnaire, then you should definitely come because not only is your SGA president in it, but your other organization leader is going to be in it as well. So far, I think we have about 10 or 12 organizations signed up, so it's going to be a lot of girls on stage. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited, and we have Samantha and Amanda that are collabing on that with us, and we're really excited. They've been such a great help in getting that put together. And yeah, that's all of the events. The only two events we really need you guys to actually be doing work are the two events, Coffee and Compliments, and then the giveaway. The other ones, y'all literally all you have to do is come and bring friends. It's meant to be a fun thing, and we've never done this before, so we want a lot of publicity out there because we want to see what the student body reacts well to and what they don't react well to, so we can take notes and revise it and do a better job next year. Yeah. But yeah, if you do volunteer, please wear an SGA shirt or a Tech shirt. Bring your friends and have a good time, and that's it.
Wait, one more thing. I think, especially, I'm talking to the guys, especially in the room, this is International Women's Week by SGA. You need to be as present and as supportive as possible. Don't try to if if you come to events, just chill, sit back, hype us up. You know, the idea behind this is that y'all need to be the first people empowering the women here and the women on this campus. So I think it's really important, especially for y'all, to be like at these events. So
So like,
yeah.
these are open to everybody. It's not just women. So like, you can bring your moms, your dads, your uncles, your cousins, whoever. If they go to tech, or even if they don't go to tech, you can bring them. So it's open to everybody. But yeah, that's it.
All right, do any Senate committee heads have a report they wish to make or need to make? Senate Appropriations, I found out a few minutes ago. Where's Patrick? Is Patrick here? Patrick? Sorry, slipped through the cracks.
Next week.
Next week it is. You got a meeting with Patrick to deal with some matching funds requests. Anybody else? Any other committees? All right, great. Do any senators in general have a report they need to make? Yes, sir.
I've been in communication with Sarah from sports about a resolution for the women's and men's basketball team. We have congratulated the season, some of the players' accomplishments, similar to baseball we did last spring. That's what we do.
Awesome. I'll be excited to see you on the floor. Any other senators? Excellent. All right. Well then, general meeting is adjourned, but you're still here because now we get to roll in the Senate meeting. So we're going to move rather quickly through this business. We have a little bit. So if you are not aware, cabinet members, this is it. You don't talk anymore, okay? Sorry. New senators, you can't vote until you're confirmed, okay? But we're still going to call you in the roll. All right. Meeting of the Student Senate will come to order. Meeting March 15th, 2022. This time, the Madam Secretary will call the roll.
Okay, I'm just gonna go through everybody again, so I'll just be prepared. David Black.
Here.
Jamar Anderson.
Here.
Emily Meany.
Here.
Patrick Miller.
Here.
Anna Moscoso. Julia Payne.
Here.
Audrey Smith. Gabe Freeman.
Here.
Lauren Hayes.
Here.
Trevor Forte.
Here.
Walker Pearson.
Here.
Andrew Bolton.
Here.
Thomas Bergeron.
Here.
Kylie Bass.
Here.
Brennan Barber.
Here.
Ladarius Christian.
Here.
Juan Peters.
Here.
Camden Sanford.
Here.
Haley Thomas.
Here.
Abram Bender.
Here.
Ian Goldsby.
Here.
Micah Haney.
Here.
Allie Smith.
Here.
Max Bryan.
Here.
Brennan Swafford.
Here.
Okay. We're on your name. I'm looking. Yes. Sumi. Okay, good. Gotcha. You're here. Cool. Kate Deloche.
Here.
Andrew Turner.
Here.
Caroline Clifton.
Here.
Christiana Relford.
Here.
Colby Boyd.
Here.
Haley Augustine. Jaden.
Here.
Demetrius. Cooper. Caitlin. Lily.
Here.
Total present 34. We do meet quorum. Majority present is 18, and 2/3 is 23.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We'll now move into the consideration of the consent agenda. This is to approve the previous meeting minutes from the past two, that'd be the 8th and the 15th of last month, as well as approval of tonight's agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Who's that? All right, Senator Sanford, is there a second to the motion? There's a sufficient second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. All right, we do not have any old business. We will flow directly into new business. At this time, the Speaker lays before the House a communication. In accordance with the Constitution, the Madam President has appointed the following individuals to the following Senate vacancies. Mr. Thomas Bergeron, College of Applied Natural Sciences seat. Ms. Kylie Bass, College of Applied Natural Sciences seat. Mr. Micah Haney, College of Engineering and Sciences. And finally, Mr. Brendan Swafford, College of Liberal Arts. At this point, the Madam President humbly lays these before the Senate for consideration, and there will need to be a motion and second to approve. The Senate may do this as a slate or individually. It's up to you. Yes, sir.
I motion to approve
All right, we have a motion by Senator Bender to approve as a slate. Is there a second to this motion? Sufficient second. Is there any discussion? All right, in accordance with the Constitution, this must be approved by a 2/3 vote on behalf of those present. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Senators. Okay, at this time, we'll get you sworn in real quick so you can vote on the next stuff. So, please rise if you were just appointed. Great. Okay. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I shall faithfully represent the interest of the student body of Louisiana Tech University, that I will dutifully uphold and preserve the Constitution of the Student Government Association, and that I will faithfully execute the office of Senator of the Student Government Association of Louisiana Tech. So help me God. Congratulations. All right, now you get to vote and make motions. So feel free to go at it and debate. Regular order. We'll now move to item B, consideration of the spring quarter budget. Is there a motion to approve the spring quarter budget as laid before the Senate by the Treasurer? Thank you, Senator Clifton. Is there a second?
Second.
There's sufficient second. Thank you, Senator Black. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed with the same sign? The motion carries. The budget is approved. You can now spend money. Okay, item C, consideration of the Dogfighter Booster Club matching funds request as approved by the Senate Appropriations Committee. Is there a motion to approve the Dogfighter Booster Club matching funds request?
I motion to approve the Dogfighters Booster Club matching funds request.
Senator Miller with a motion to approve. Is there a second to that motion? Second. There's sufficient second. Thank you, Senator Sanford. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, is all those in favor say aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Dogfighter Booster Club. All right. Done that. The Senate meeting is now adjourned. Before we do that, are there any questions, senators, announcements senators need to make of any kind? Senator Bender.
Unrelated to all of it, but if any of y'all need like a suit, JCPenney is doing like a special event. They do it every like semester based. We did Sunday, and it's 3 to 6. JCPenney and they have like universities, so Tech, ULM, Grambling, they're all like have a deal there. You can get up to 60% off, like business wear, like suit and everything. And ULM, like all their students go. Grambling, they take the bus and bus their students. The Tech usually doesn't get a lot of participation. So y'all should definitely go. Great deals on suits and things like that. So.
Dr. Geis?
I'll send a little flyer in later.
All right, any other senators have a report? Yes, sir.
All right, so start at 5 and goes until 8. If anybody's hungry, go to Duke's after this. Mention Tiki in your order, and the lane goes to St. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Any other senators have a report before we adjourn the Senate meeting? Okay, hearing none, the Senate meeting is adjourned, and we'll take a 3-minute break before we move into our next series of stuff, our public forum. So we stand adjourned for 3 minutes.
If you were to let's get a picture up front, please.
Oh, let's do that first one.
She didn't say you could be any page.
I'm proud.
How are you? All right, start finding your way to your seats. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, we're going to go ahead and start it with our special public forum, which we have moved to the end of today's meeting, for reasons you shall see in a moment. I will now, at this time, turn over to Ms. Bombard.
Hey y'all, I really wanted to be in University Hall today. What? I really wanted to be in University Hall for this, so I didn't have to pay, but so if I pay, so I was something else. But so today we're going to talk, obviously we have special guests, Dr. Geis, Dr. Crawford, and Dr. Wood. If y'all don't know, Dr. Wood, he's our Vice President of Athletics and our Athletic Director. Y'all should know Dr. Crawford and Dr. Geis pretty well. That's just me guessing now. So today we just want to talk a little bit about what our exec team and teamed up with these three guys and a bunch of other people have been doing over the past few months. And so I'm going to tell you guys about how this idea kind of came to me. So back in October, a long time ago, right? Homecoming week, there have been probably conversations about a student fee. And before you freak out, listen to me, okay? About a student fee for a really long time, since longer before we've ever been to Tech, since before we were in high school probably. It's been something that circulates around college campuses all the time, and it's been more prevalent on our college campus in the past few years, especially this year. And so obviously that's not something that I wasn't necessarily acclimated to. It's just something that I never had to deal with before. But in October, during homecoming week, I went to these alumni luncheon where these two special awards are presented to some people that give money to school, basically. And I was one of the only students in the room. So obviously I was just eating good, you know. And this guy got up to accept his award. He wanted to use his time to talk about what an athletic fee could do on our campus. And his idea of what a fee could be and my idea of what a fee could be were vastly different. I was very uncomfortable in the room. I didn't know how to feel. But that's when the conversation started happening to me, because everybody in the room immediately looked at me as a student. I was being one of the only students in the room. And so immediately people started talking, not just to me, but it was also around the conference realignment, and it was also around a lot of teams leaving our conference, a lot of schools leaving our conference, our new schools joining our conference, a whole bunch of things about football, sports that I don't really understand. But I kind of read the writing on the wall, and I was like, if I say no to this, and the next president has the same questions come to them, and if they say no to this, and the next president comes along to them, one day somebody could be sitting in this seat, and somebody could be sitting in your seats, and somebody could be sitting in their seats, that may not have the best intentions with something like this. So what I'm telling you is you're going to hear from a lot of different people today. You're going to hear a lot of information. You're going to feel probably very overloaded. But what I want you to know is that I did not run for SGA president to raise student fees. I didn't wave a flag when these conversations started happening. I wasn't super excited about it. But I read the writing on the wall, and I decided that that this was inevitable, and it was going to happen at some point for the sake of our university, and to continue in the fashion that it normally does. And we could compound that inevitable thing with benefits that could stretch across campus. And you'll see what I mean by that in just a second. But I want you to know that this isn't something that I started to explore lightly. Like I said, this is something that's came to my plate in October. So it's something that I've thought about for a really long time, and I want you to know that this isn't something that I would do if I didn't think that it would be most beneficial to students for us to do it right now. And it's not because I'm not presenting this to you, and we're not presenting this to you today because, well, I speak for myself, it's because I want to. It's because I think that I just really don't trust anybody else to do it right. And so you're going to hear from Dr. Grice and Dr. Crawford in just a minute about how this all kind of relates in a big bubble. But I just want to be transparent with you guys and say that I'm not just so gung-ho to stand in front of you today and be like, let's pay more money to go to school. I'm not. But what I am telling you is that this is something that will help further our institution and provide experiences for students to help them grow. And in 5 years, if this same opportunity presented itself to somebody in my seat or to somebody in a different seat at the table, then it might not benefit students and it might all go to one place. And that's not what we want. Because the leaders, we're in a unique position to do something, like I said, to compound the inevitable with benefits that can stretch across campus and not just to one certain type of student, not just to one sector of campus, not just to one college, not just to one student, but to a multitude of students. And that's what we do here, and that's our goal. It's to better the experiences of students, and it's to do more than we have to, and this is hard. This is a hard conversation to have, and so I'm not asking you to agree. I'm not asking you to be excited. What I'm asking you is to listen. What I'm asking you is to trust me and to know that I would never do anything that I thought would jeopardize not only the experience of our student, but the growth of our university And I'm just asking you to listen today. And if you will have a time for you to ask questions, but right now we're gonna have I'm gonna lay it out for y'all. So Dr. Geis is gonna come over here. He's gonna say, hey. We're going to talk a little bit about the university, the stance of it, and how it relates to this speak. Dr. Crawford's going to be up here being his little buddy. They're going to talk. They're going to partner up. And then after that, Dr. Wood's going to come talk about his piece in all this, the role of athletics and how it plays into the university overall. Then Ty and I, because Ty's kind of been one of my little partners in crime in this, we're going to come tie up some loose ends, and then we're going to have a little tiny presentation for y'all, and then a piece of that as well, and then we'll open the floor for questions. And it's not going to take as long as y'all think. Okay. Y'all got it? So I'm going to yield the floor to Dr. Geis and Dr. Crawford.
Thank you, Tiara. She actually fussed at me today for breaking Robert's Rule of Order in my council meeting gauge, so sorry about that. I first want to thank you for the leadership. One of the things I did in our President's Council meeting today was talk about all of the activities that you have going on. And I've been here a long time, you know that. And I've never seen the level of activity that you all have been doing on campus. It's been nothing like that. And we've needed that. You've sensed we've needed it, and I think that's the intention to do these activities. It's been a tough past 2 or 3 years with all that we've had to face, and we know all of the consequences, and a lot of people are still feeling the consequences the isolation and all the other things that we've encountered during COVID, but you've helped to lift this institution and our student body to a different level because of your activities, and I want to say thank you. I come to work every day thinking about having the best possible student body, and I will tell you, we have the best student body in the state of Louisiana, and I'm not just saying that. The data point to us having the best student body, and the activities that you do is just one part of that, but we do. The other part is student success. We have the fastest time to degree completion. Our students are more engaged in activities. Our graduation rates are the highest in the state. All of those sorts of factors go into student success and so many other things there. And then I spend a lot of my time looking at the future for you when you graduate from here. Hopefully some of you will decide to stay in Louisiana, and so we're looking at how we create more future for the state and jobs and economic opportunities that all of us can benefit from for the future. So I spend a lot of my time in that area and preparing for it. We really need to give more support to the students in terms of engagement, and to let you continue to do the kinds of things that you do so well, so effectively, and that's part of what this student fee will be about, and we'll show you someone will show you the breakdown of the fee and how proposed fee and how that would look and what the impacts would be. Athletics is a part of that, and I appreciate this weekend when we sent an email out and many of you came over to Dallas, Frisco, and were able to watch the Bulldogs and the Lady Texters, come. That was a real impressive showing of everyone there, and it was uplifting. But I tell you what, that your presence had an impact in that community, and people, I'm sure that we'll have new students coming here because of the exposure that we had in that conference in the Frisco area. It's a very rich recruiting area for us. And when we're in a state like Louisiana, where the population is on the decline, our ability to recruit outside of Louisiana is extremely important. The fact that we get a larger percentage of our student body from outside the state than any of the other institutions around here is significant. And I think a significant reason that it occurs is because of our athletics program. My story was, I hate to say, 50 years ago, coming here after Terry Bradshaw had been here. And I wasn't a big football player, but it elevated the visibility of Louisiana Tech. And we also had a good architecture program. That attracted me, and the experience of the great professors here was really a big part of my success. But those were all important, and they're important to people today. I interviewed a young lady, came by my office from San Antonio, Texas today. She came here because she knew about us. She had lived in the area before, but she was interested in biology, but she was also interested in soccer. Jacob, you spent some time with her after that, and I hope we sealed her to come to Louisiana Tech. She was 28 ACT, and I think would be a great addition. But it's this whole picture that makes this an attractive institution to you. Think about your experience of coming here. And I believe it's attractive, but it's also an important part of your success. It's being engaged in those activities. And I've seen the spirit that you show at all of the different venues where we're having athletic events take place, and other events. Athletics is one key part of it. Without going, I'll be glad to answer any questions. This past year has been really tough for me outside of all of this other thing, and that is dealing with this conference realignment. When we had 14 universities in Conference USA, at the beginning of the year and then halfway through the year, we wound up with 5 universities that were going to remain in Conference USA. And we were at jeopardy at losing a couple of others. You say, what difference would that make to me? It would make a big difference. I mean, that is a reputational impact for this institution. So we worked really hard to preserve that, and actually, we know we're going to lose 9 of those members, but we've already got some others that have joined up, so we're up at 9, and we've got some more that want in. And it's these lower level division schools, FCS schools, that are very interested in being a part of Conference USA. And those are the same students that want to come to a great academic university that are part of those institutions. That's one of the reasons they want to be a part of Conference USA. And I don't want to list the names of those universities, but many of you probably would not look at those universities if you were not, if they were not in an affiliated conference sort of at the level of Conference USA and their FBS school. So those are all important aspects that we've dealt with, and we're going to get through this Conference USA situation. Feel real good about the future of where we're going there now, but it has been a very uncertain time. So this theme will actually help solidify some of the issues that we'll be dealing with there. And at this time, I want to turn it over to Vicki, and we'll answer any questions, Vicki, and then Dr. Wood.
And I don't have a lot to add to what Dr. Nice said about it. I do want to say from the very beginning, when Kiara and Ty came to meet with me, she mentioned back late October, from the very beginning, their interest was looking out for you and the student body at Louisiana Tech. Also, looking forward to what was in the best interest of this university moving forward too, from the standpoint of recruiting more students to this university and retention of the student bodies that's here and those that will be coming. You heard Dr. Geis mention the term engagement, student engagement. And that was what Ty and Kiara brought up from the very beginning, was how to get more students engaged. And what does that mean, okay? And what does that look like? We all know COVID was a huge impact on student engagement. Last year, 2020, 2021, especially those first-year students that were here did not have the opportunities to get engaged as they normally would, as you normally would. And that's we've seen that impact even again this year from those students that were freshmen last year come back this year, just learning what that looks like to get engaged when there was nothing to do, everything was shut down. So trying to come off of that to some degree, even though I know COVID's still an issue, but trying to get back to face-to-face gatherings and activities, which y'all mentioned earlier, the importance of that, and that you're so excited about that. So how do we use that then to take this university to the next level? Not just for you, but for your younger brothers and younger sisters that maybe you're in high school or junior high coming here. What does that look like to recruit them to Louisiana Tech and to keep them here to be successful? So what is that when we talk about success? So national research on higher education talks about student success, and what it says is one of the biggest impacts for a student to be successful, success being measured by retention, so retaining from the first year to the second year, and then from that second year to graduation. What impacts that? Well, impact is student engagement. So what do we mean by engagement? Well, it starts with, does that student feel accepted, cared about? Do they feel that they belong here? Do they make friends? Are they involved, like all of you are? Okay, involvement in not just going to class and going home, but they're engaged in their learning experience. They're personally taking that responsibility to be engaged in their learning experience, both in and outside the classroom. And so what can we do at this university to enhance that, okay, to enhance that engagement, to get students not only to come to Louisiana Tech and feel excited about that and know about Tech. Some of you can probably testify that you didn't know what Louisiana Tech or who we were until someone came to your school or your community and talked about Louisiana Tech, because you may be from South Louisiana or from another state. And so getting our brand out there to let more people know about Louisiana Tech University, getting them to come on campus tours. So many of you are crucial to those campus tours. And we know that a student who comes on this campus for a campus tour greatly enhances our opportunity to get them to come to this university, because once they meet you
And once they see what this university is about, the culture, they get excited about it. And so it's getting them here, getting them to know about the university, to grow enrollment, and then once they're here, those things that are in place to get them engaged, to get them involved like you are, that helps them stay here and graduate. That's crucial. That's what this whole conversation has been about with Ty and Kiara. So what you're going to see is a proposal that we hope that will enhance that and grow that. Okay? So that's what the whole conversation has been about for these last several weeks and months. Okay? So with that, you know, a big part of this, what we talked about too, you know, part of this is being engaged is athletics. And so Dr. Wood, why don't you come up and just kind of talk about your philosophy about athletics, what it means to the student body as a whole, not just, you know, the athlete, but the student body as a whole, and how that ties in with the university's goals and missions. So
yeah, I'll stay out of the way. Thank you for that introduction. Excuse me for my best side. Hope everybody's doing well. Thank you for that handoff. I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, as was mentioned. I'm Dr. Wood. I'm the Vice President, Director of Athletics. I look forward to hanging back when this is all said and done and answering as many questions as I can. But I'll just share this with you, and then as was mentioned already, we've got some data to show you and that we want to get in front of you. But I have the good fortune of just coming back yesterday from serving as a Board of Trustees member at my alma mater. Now, when I was there way back in the day, 94 to 98, I was a student athlete there, but my institution was 2,500 students. Okay? Some of your high schools probably have as many students as that. Right now they're up to 6,000. And I had the pleasure, this is my first year on the board, which means we're the governing body for the entire institution, which is pretty impactful for me as a former student and student athlete there. But I bring that up to share with you that the president of the university stood up in front of the entire board and he said, let me share this with you. He said the three most important decisions we made as an institution to grow it, okay, it was number one, we became a residential campus. It was pretty much a commuter campus, okay? He said number two was going Division I. So I was a Division II student athlete. If you're not familiar with college athletics, it's Division I, Division II, Division III is the lowest non-scholarship. So I was a Division II student athlete. And our president stood up and said we became a residential campus, which just brightened up the whole campus, was live, and the student interaction and activities on campus. But number two in the history of our university was going to Division I. The third thing was pursuing a Carnegie classification, which determines your research level, and becoming a Research 2. So there's the highest is Research 1. But he truly felt like being a Division I campus attracted a different student. It attracted different faculty. We were involved in rankings, just nationally, U.S. World Report, and other national rankings for institutions because of that level. It attracted a different level of faculty. It allowed us to just have a greater impact on the institution. So I just share that with you because it's almost taboo to talk about athletics in an academy, right, in the realm of university setting. Right? Because some people view athletics as just a side thing over here, whether I'm interested or not. But the president stood up and saw the value and how that attracted students, faculty, rankings. And when all of those three things get impacted, the value of your degree, the value of my degree, now 20 years later gets impacted. And that's what we want. We want to have a great experience while we're here. We want to meet new people. We want to become a part of organizations. We want to grow. But we want the value of the time that we've spent here, the 4 or 5 years, right? In our case, it's 4.2, right? We graduate students at a faster 4.1. Oh, I don't want to cut us short, okay? But we graduate students at a faster rate. But we want to have a great experience. We want to graduate, and then we want a rallying point to come back. So here's how I view this, okay? I truly believe as a Division II student athlete, the whole purpose of us having athletics at that level was to just get the numbers up, was to have tuition dollars paid, to have more students come. At this level, when you have a Division I athletics program, you want to use the platform, okay, that athletics can have to just bring more attention to the university. What do I mean by that? Anybody ever watch a Bulldog football game on TV when we played on the road? Okay? What happens in the middle of that game every time we play a game on the road and it's on TV. What do you see on TV? Say it again. You see the tech commercial. Okay, you're in multiple millions of households when we play on the U or the Deuce, or CBS Sports Network. Okay, Stadium not so much, but it's another platform, and I share that because that's one of the things that athletics can do for the entire university, for the value of the degree, is we get a 4-hour infomercial every time we are on TV. Right? There are no student athletes in that commercial, right? For those of you that have watched the commercial, it's about the rest of you. And we talk about we do this, we do this, we do this, and we're showing all of our buildings. We're talking about cyber, we're talking about trenchless technology, we're talking about engineering and business and applied science, all of the college. We get to talk about it to the rest of the country. So I see our role when we're in a Division I athletics program as an extension of the marketing arm for the rest of the institution. I sincerely agree. Of course, I agree with myself, right? But I sincerely believe that. Okay. At our level, at the level that I played, at Division II, Division III, if I mention the name, you probably never heard of my school. Okay. But there are faculty members, there are researchers, there are GAs and TAs that, because of the brand that athletics has helped raise, that school becomes a little more attractive to them in the process. Okay. And so I just share that. My personal view as the vice president of this division, yes, we want to be competitive. There's no doubt about it. Yes, we want to be a rallying point for homecoming. Okay? What happens during homecoming? What is it all centered around? Okay, we wait, right? Our folks on campus wait for the schedule to come out to pick homecoming. Because whether you love football or not, it's an opportunity when you've been out to bring your family back, or you're a recent grad, we pick that one football game and we all come. Whether you like football, whether you're from another country where you didn't experience football, it's an opportunity to tailgate. It's an opportunity to get back together. It's an opportunity to reminisce and get back on campus. There's a reason we pick a football game, okay, as a rallying point. So I just wanted to share with you, again, we'll have data, but if you view the athletics department as just a sports department, we're completely missing it. If we don't take advantage of the platform and the households that we're in on TV and the national recognition, the national exposure we get, we're missing it. We might as well be a Division II or Division III program. When you're pursuing the highest level of a Carnegie classification for research, there are no Division II and Division III schools down on that list.
Right.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, you look at the U.S. News World Report top tier universities, and they're not hardly any. If they are, they're down low in that are FCS level schools.
Yeah. So FCS and FBS,
Public
we're at the highest level. We're at the highest level, okay? The other thing I'll share is that I spent the last 5 years at the University of Central Florida. Okay, before I got there, quite honestly, y'all, I really didn't know much about the school. When we arrived there, the football team itself was 0-12. And that coaching staff moved on. The new coaching staff came in. We went 6-6, a little bit of buzz. Then we went 13-0. And whether you agreed with it or not, if you've ever heard of UCF, we claimed the national championship. Okay? You're smiling because you remembered it. Whether it became the butt of the joke or you agreed with it. We went 13-0. We beat Auburn in the Peach Bowl. And you may say, so what? What does that have to do with it? For the next 147 days, good or bad, we were on SportsCenter. And we hired an outside firm called Joyce Julius & Associates. And what they do is they provide a valuation for the amounts of that exposure, what that would have cost the university, right? To be on TV, to continue to be mentioned. And it was over $700 million. Not seven, over $700 million by the athletics department being on a national platform for 147 days straight. So you don't have to love football. You don't have to love sports. If you understand what the value of a prosperous athletics department can do, amongst the other things that you'll see up here, the impact on your degree, the impact on the exposure. Some people won't ever hear about research and all the things that I mentioned unless they're watching the game, if they don't live in this area, okay? Shoot, we have a hard time recruiting within the state, right, down south. right? So anyway, I just wanted you to hear a little bit about, and maybe just challenge a few of your thoughts as to what athletics, the role athletics can play on a thriving campus, okay? You know what also happened? The university got $700 million of exposure during that year, and then the number of applications increased by 20%. What happens when the application, this is not a rhetorical question, what happens when the number of applications go up for our admissions department? What does that allow them to do? Come on, don't be shy, y'all leaders. You can be a little more selective, right? The more numbers you have, you can be very intentional about the diversity of your students. And I would argue that the athletics department brings an extreme amount of diversity, gender, ethnic, geographic locations, that all impact who your roommates are, who you eat with, right? Who you mingle with. But it increased the number of applications while we were at UCF coming off of one season. Sonny Cumbie just told the story while we've been out on the road at these Celebrate Your Legacy events during his time at TCU. They had about 2,500 applications. They went 13-0, won a Rose Bowl game, and had 13,500 applications the next year. Not every one of those students loves football, but the brand recognition increased, right? And it just gave more people interest in applying to that school and being a part of that experience of tailgating or a big game, okay? So I hope you see, obviously we didn't have a great season from a football perspective, but thank you to those that came out for the first time, and I think since 2008 we had both teams in the championship. Last year winning a West Division championship, hosting a regional in baseball as one of the top 16 programs. So what I would just ask you to do is just maybe, you know, alter the mindset a little bit about what an athletics program looks like, right? We have sports clubs, we have intramurals, and we have a Division I athletics program. You'll see the numbers of how competitive we are, okay? I'd be remiss, I shared this at our leadership meeting too before I pass the baton back over, but just academically, right? I will battle the notion that we've got dumb jocks, okay? We have 336 student athletes. We are now at four quarters in a row, over a 3.0. You average that in any athletics department, okay? Over a 3.0 for that, okay? We have a 984 graduation rate out of 1,000. We are third in the league behind Rice, which I think we all know has a great academic prestige and reputation, and Marshall. And we're sitting at third in the league. Okay, so I don't personally, you know, if you're looking towards the leadership of this area, you know, I don't view this as sports. I view this as a marketing tool. I use this as a way for access for many people that would not otherwise get a chance at college education. And I hope that you see that being on a national platform when we do play in that platform really just adds value to our degree, gives more exposure to highlight what's happening at the university. So. Again, I'll hang around too, and I'll pass it back over for the next portion of the presentation.
Yeah, so now I just kind of want to talk, I kind of talked y'all through how it, thank you all for being here first of all. Give me y'all's little spiel. I started with how it started for me, and I kind of just want to walk you through, like, obviously there's a lot of time between October and March. So when I first heard the talk of like what an athletic team was and like what that meant, it didn't really sit right with me. I was like, I don't really know how I feel about that. And so I wanted to learn everything there was to know about what student fees overall are, what student fees we have, what student fees people in our system have, what student fees are in our state. Also want to know about everything there is to know about athletics because I really don't know a whole lot, and that's why I brought my buddy Ty because he knows a whole lot about that. And so from probably about October, and I have my timeline over here, so if I reference it, just bear with me. So October 23rd was homecoming week, so sometime around there. I didn't have an actual meeting. Ty and I didn't have an actual meeting with Dr. Geisler-Coppard and Dr. Wood about a legitimate proposal of a fee until December 16th. Because I wanted to know everything that there was to know. I wanted to make sure that this was even something that I thought was valuable, that I thought was beneficial to even consider. And so in that meeting, by the time everything I learned, a lot of the things that they talked about, and even more so, brought me to the conclusion that maybe this was definitely a conversation I wanted to have because, like I said before, I wanted to know who had the seat at the table to create this fee. I wanted to know that there was somebody that looked like everybody at the table to create this fee. And so that's when we created a focus group. That's what I termed it as. And that was a group of 15 to 20 small students. And if you're comfortable with that and you're in this room, and if you just raise your hand if you were in that focus group, if you were a part of the decisions that we made. So these people, y'all can turn down. Hours on hours. Like we meet at 5 and I'd have to reserve the room until 8:30. We'd keep Dr. Geisler past his bedtime. So just hashing this out. So when I say that I didn't take this decision lightly, it wasn't just me. It wasn't just Ty, it wasn't just Gage, it wasn't just Elizabeth. I wanted people to be brought into this conversation, but I didn't want to bring 8,000 people into the conversation before it was something legitimate. And so I'll walk y'all through the timeline of when I learned what a student fee what has to happen to be in place. So somebody's got to conjure it up, right? Then you have to present it to the system board. So the ULS system, the University of Louisiana system, is the system of colleges that we fall under. So it's us, ULL, ULM, yada, 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 okay? NSU, McNeese. And we presented it to the board. So before we presented it to the board, to be approved to go to a student vote, I wanted to make sure that it was something that I was confident that students would see beneficial to them and that also would actually benefit students. So that's what that focus group was originally for, was to make sure that we could formulate a fee that could, like I said, my goal was to compound the inevitable with benefits that would touch each corner of campus. And so that's kind of how I selected the time. I selected the people that would be a part of the focus group, and that we met multiple times before the board, 3 or 4 times, before we presented this to the board. We presented it, so much so that we hadn't even nailed it down every detail before we went to the board, and I was like, hey, you know, that's how much effort, that's how much heart, that's how much pride that not only me and our exec team, but the focus group poured into this, the group of students that I always reminded to make sure that they were not just thinking of the people that they led as student leaders, but also just a normal student in Harper 123. And so that's kind of how we came to what Ty's going to present to y'all in just a second. Yeah. And then, so after the ULS board they did approve it to go to a student vote. So after the board approves it, it goes on the ballot just like, so it would be when you log into BOSS on what day? May 7th, 8th. Anyways, April 7th, 8th, sorry. SGA president, SGA vice president, SGA secretary, SGA treasurer, and you'll see what Ty's got to present to y'all in just a second as well. And so the student body would vote on it. So now this is kind of like the next phase of things. So the focus group and I met yesterday, and we finalized every last detail. And so I want y'all to remember what I said at the beginning, that this is to educate you about what the potential is, and this is a student fee, so it's student-led. So y'all's opinions, y'all's comments, y'all's questions are so valid, they're so important, and I want y'all to know that. I want y'all to not be afraid to voice your opinion. I know y'all never are, but I know we have some new people in this room. So if you do have any questions or concerns when that time does come around, which is going to be soon, I promise, y'all don't be afraid to ask those questions, but I did want y'all to know that there were so many people that looked at this and said, you know, like, let's make sure that that's somebody that looks like me has a seat at the table, that's somebody that thinks like me has a seat at the table. Let's make sure that we can do this the right way. Let's make sure that we don't have to trust anybody else to do it. Okay, Ty.
All right, I get to do the fun part. So when we first met with Dr. Crawford the very first time, to even think about whether or not we wanted to start this conversation or do anything with this, he had something that was formatted similar to this, but everything from here over looked a whole lot different. We're gonna kind of walk y'all through all these numbers, what it all looks like, what it all means. And you kept hearing this whole time about how we wanted to benefit the entire student body, how we wanted to reach every corner of the student body to make sure that if we were going to ask students to pay more for their student fees, that everyone would be able to see the benefit of it and everyone would be, I guess, that everyone would see the benefits of it. Anyway, we started with a number here that was a whole lot bigger. We didn't know what necessarily where we wanted to be. We knew that the number that we originally started with was something that me and Kiara both were not comfortable with proposing to any other students, much less the entire student body. So we started to work that down. We met with the focus groups, and we kind of gave them several different options of what they thought they were comfortable with. And again, remember that these groups had people from every different area of campus. We had athletes, we had people in all of these groups represented. We had people that are on full scholarships and get $2,000 of a refund every quarter, and we had students that have to pay money to BOSS every quarter to make sure that what we were going to propose is something that everybody was comfortable with. So the first group, I don't know if y'all can even see. The first group is Underserved Students, and they're going to get a fee of $3 to provide programming, some scholarships, similar to grants that y'all applied for through Wes and the Student Activities Office, but more specifically for underserved students and the underrepresented parts of campus. And then you can see here the $73,000, a little bit more of generated revenue. That's a substantial amount of money for $3 per student. So that's one thing that I want y'all to focus on is the breakdown of this and how much of your dollar is generating and how students are going to be able to benefit from just a few dollars of an increase. And then a mental health fee. So we already have a fee, mental health fee, or just a regular health fee of $50 per student. So that's going to be increased by $4, giving them an additional $98,000, almost $100,000 for more programming, more training, and then some staffing. We all remember or Senate at least, all remembers the iPad bill that we had a quarter or two ago. Because of this or that, people had a lot of different opinions on it. This is something that they're going to be able to do a lot more with because we don't want departments on campus that have their own budgets to have to come to SGA. Yes, we're here to be a resource, and yes, we're here to be to help the student body and help everybody on campus, but we want them to be relying on their own funds. So that's where that is. And then spirit groups, so cheer, Regal Blues, Champ, and the band. That'll be a $5 fee per student, $123,000. So they want to build essentially a practice facility, and that's kind of the long-term goal with this. Over by the new suites and dorms, I guess right off of Tech Drive. They need their own practice facility. They do. They practice in Lambright. Cheer doesn't necessarily get to utilize that facility the way that they want to. They can't do everything they want to do. Really good for band. They'll have some extra storage, stuff like that. Until then, that's going to provide them a lot of cushion for travel expenses, for uniforms, for things that cost a ton of money that normally they're having to break their backs and fundraise for. So, and then sports clubs. How many of you have ever played intramurals or been a part of a sports club? Several of y'all. So there's a benefit there. $1 a student, $24,600. Financial resources helping with uniforms specifically for the club team. So that would be the wakeboarding team, the lacrosse team, the volleyball team. Sports that aren't recognized by the NCAA, but still do a rugby. Sorry, Max. But still do a really good job of traveling around the Southeast, competing in tournaments, competing in games and matches, and representing our university. And then Greek Life. So that's a $2 fee per student towards Greek Life to hopefully hire a full-time Greek Life coordinator. Wes talked to y'all earlier about how he's already one short on his staff, how overwhelmed he is
But I can attest to it. Even when he and Nick were both here, both of those guys were kind of in over their heads because Nick's position, which is student activities coordinator, not only oversees Greek life, that's kind of what everybody knows Nick as, is the Greek life guy, but esports, KLPI, and several other places on campus that are all overseen by Wes. So having the Greek life community with their own coordinator, somebody that they can go to for support, for questions, for help, so that Wes doesn't have to take that on along with every other student organization on campus. That's something that probably the majority of other schools in our state and in our region comparably have, is a Greek life coordinator. So that's something that is going to be really big. And then athletics. So that's obviously the kicker. That's what y'all are probably going to ask the most questions about, is $135 per student, which brings the total to $150. Dr. Wood talked to y'all a little bit about the benefits there and what that's going to do for us. And then you can see, so cost of attendance for student athletes, nutrition, sports medicine, and some academic stuff.
Dr. Wood? Dr. Wood? Oh, yeah.
Okay. So here's what I'll share, guys. I know there's no hiding around that number. All right. My goal today is to be as transparent and answer as many questions as I can, as I realize that if I switch this around and I'm sitting in there and I see 150 and 135 of it goes to athletics, okay, that there are going to be a lot of questions about that. So I want to answer those as honestly as possible. I'll start off with this. There's always context to these numbers, okay? Number one, in the 14-team league of Conference USA, Louisiana Tech has the lowest budget in that league. Okay, we don't talk about that publicly, right? Because if there's anything that you know as a student that I now experience now a year and 4 months into this, is that we always fight above our weight class, right? That's the chip on the shoulder that this place has. We fight above the weight class. We fight above the amount of resources that we have. But just for perspective, okay, of the 14 schools, the operating budget that the varsity athletics program has to work with is at the bottom of the league, okay? That's number one. Number two, this is now my 6th campus, but also within Conference USA. Louisiana Tech is the only institution where the students do not pay a student fee to go to participate and sit in athletics, right? So we sit on the 50-yard line. Right now in football, we have a mid-court seat for basketball, for those of you that do partake and participate in supporting our Bulldogs and Lady Texters. We are the only school within Conference USA, and I would dare say, I'm not going to say for free, right? But this is where you just don't pay a fee as part of being a student, okay, for athletics. So I want to give you some context to that, all right? It's real easy to look at the 135 and go, what in the Sam Hill is that? Okay? Number one, we've got the lowest budget in the conference, and then number two, we are the only school where the students don't pay a fee to go, okay, to participate in athletics events that are ticketed events. So right now, whether that's soccer, we don't ticket volleyball, baseball in the kennel, football, as I said, 50-yard line seats, and basketball, men's and women's basketball, you sit mid-court, okay? Normally, students pay that as a part of their tuition. So here's what I'll share, okay? Quick numbers, and then I'll answer any questions you have. We participate in what is called a group of 5, okay? There's the Power 5 schools, okay? All of those brand names that you all know, okay? And then there's the group of 5, and these are the group of 5 conferences, right? So the American Athletics Conference, the average budget is $63 million. The Mountain West Conference, the average budget for the institutions are $46 million. Conference USA, of which we are a part of, the average budget for the athletics department is $35 million. In the MAC, the Mid-American Conference, $34 million, and the Sun Belt, $32. Okay, so I am removing all subjectivity and just looking at the facts here. Okay, and we put our athletics logo at the bottom here of what our budget is, $24,950. So we are not at the average of our own league, and these are the leagues that we compete against. And so I just wanted to put a little bit in perspective, because I know that there's some sticker shock when we see 135 of what we're competing against. Okay, I don't know about you. Okay, maybe a bad reference, but we go to a cowboy, we go to a gunfight, I don't want to show up with a knife. Everybody get that reference? I want to have equal resources to fight and compete, okay? To be more competitive against the teams that we're playing against. So just wanted to show you that. The focus group, okay, just so you know, those folks that raised their hand said, hold on, Dr. Wood, I need you to tell me how we're going to use this thing. I cannot go back to my student organization and talk about a fee of $150 with you all getting $135 and you don't break down how we're going to use that. Fair? Those of you that were on the focus committee, okay? I went back to our staff, you'll see people shaking their heads, went back to our staff and said, hey, as they should, the students want to know what this would go to, okay? As was mentioned, you saw cost of attendance. Right now, the NCAA allows us to pay a scholarship at a certain amount, which right now is $430 more than what we do. Okay, we get crushed in the recruiting process on that. Okay, particularly with Lafayette down south. So just think about it as you all receive your financial packages from each institution, right? When we're recruiting out there nationally, the first question is, do you do what is termed as cost of attendance? And that's the actual cost to attend and enroll as a Louisiana Tech student, okay? Not just a student athlete, as a student. So we are not allowed, we don't have that right now. The first thing we would do is make sure that we offer that to make sure we are the most competitive on the recruiting process. Okay, so if at the 135, if that generates the 3.2 million that you saw right off the bat, the first thing is going to the scholarships that the NCAA, which is the governing body for all athletics, allows us to do. We are not operating at that level right now. Okay, that's 30% of it right there. Okay?
Dr. Wood, before you move on, do you want
Yep.
to talk about, one thing that really surprised me was the sports that we actually do, the only sports that we actually do offer.
Good point. I'm glad you shared that. So right now, we do half of what is permissible, of what's allowed. And that's in football, men's and women's basketball, and volleyball. And you always sponsor 16 sports. Okay? So this decision of who got it was prior to my arrival here, but the teams that we do provide it for, they still only get half. Okay? And so we wanted to make sure that we can do that consistently across the board and give our students and our coaches the best chance to compete. Okay, thank you for adding that piece. And anybody else from the focus group, if I mentioned something previously that I didn't mention today, please call me out on it and challenge me on that. Okay, so that's number one, full cost of attendance for 16 sports. It's the first questions our coaches get when they pop in that living room trying to recruit a kid, a young person to come and compete for one of our 16 sports. Okay, we titled this next category, competitive excellence. Okay, right now, I'm talking about from a nutritionist standpoint. I hope everyone in here, I would think that we would all agree that an athlete competing at the highest level offered by the NCAA probably has a different nutritional plan, okay? But right now, what our students are asking for are just post-workout recovery shakes, right? The number of workouts that they have to do, and I know students that participate in clubs and intramurals are just as active, but to participate at the highest level right now, all they're asking for is a post-recovery work, a shake that allows them to recover a lot faster and compete at a higher level, right? We were asking for a nutritionist amongst that group, again, to compete at the highest level that's offered for college athletics. So we would take that next batch of money and we would hire a nutritionist. We would provide that fueling, which are all pre and post workouts, shakes, the recruiting piece as well, allow our coaches to get out there and recruit nationally. Okay, right now, I don't know what myths are out there, but our coaches don't even jump on planes. Okay, if they can't drive to it, they don't go. So I just want to make sure that you hear the theme here is nothing of exuberance or exorbitance, I should say, right? We're trying to do the basics. And we're not jumping on private planes, just in case you have any of that going on. If you heard any of that, we're not jumping on private planes to recruit. We are getting in our cars and we're recruiting within a 5-hour radius, okay? But this will allow us to do a lot more of it, okay? And get a lot more recruiting out there. Nutritional supplements, and of course, the travel, okay? And then in the final part here is our support services, external relations, academic services. Right now we have 120 student athletes, 125 in football on our roster with one academic advisor. Max challenged me and said, why can't they just use the bar, right? And so I appreciated that. What I wanted to explain to everybody is that the NCAA has additional rules for students that our BARC advisors are not trained in, okay? And so we have 4 full-time athletic trainers, but only one with 125 dudes, okay? And so in order to make sure that we maintain the 3.06, I'm not satisfied with. I'd really like to be at a 3.2 as a department to continue to make you proud and represent this institution well. We need one more advisor for that team. But here's the other part, okay? We also have 2 full-time strength coaches for 336 student athletes. We don't have any with our women's sports, okay? That's a problem to me. We have 1 in football, we have 1 in men's basketball, right? And there just hasn't been enough resources to hire a full-time. So from a gender equity piece, the very next batch of money that we would use is to make sure that our women's sports get a full-time strength coach. Right now, what we do is we hire a bunch of interns, and they leave every 3 to 4 months, okay? Really difficult for us to continue to compete at the highest level. And as a dad of 3 daughters myself, I want to make sure that they have a full-time person. Sports medicine, we are extremely short, okay? If there are 2 areas that touch every student, it's academics and sports medicine. It doesn't matter if you're on scholarship or a walk-on, you get those services. Okay, we are extremely short by at least 2 full-time folks in the athletic training offices, and that's a healthcare piece. Okay, that is our utmost priority there. So, continued free student tickets. As I mentioned, we are the only school in our league where students don't pay to attend athletics events, a specific fee. Facility enhancements, okay, game day experience. We want to do more things during marketing. We want to have more t-shirts. We want to have more giveaways at events, things that make it fun for you to go, okay? We want Hideaway to be great. We want you to transition from Hideaway to get over into the game. And we want that game day experience to be great. But we have 1 full-time person to do that for 16 sports, okay? And so help us to make that a more fun experience, to get more swag, to get more things to throw out, to get more sponsor gifts and all of that, so we, you can look forward to that, okay? As I've always stated since I got here, my goal is to make sure you want to come to these events. Maybe it's a first time for you as attending a collegiate sports event, but regardless of the opponent, we want you to go because this is a good time and it's just a lot of fun. Okay, obviously employment and internships, we want to make sure that we get more of our student body over to work in our marketing area, to work with our video and tickets and get experience. Okay, we want to pay those interns. And so that's how we would use this other piece, and I mentioned the gender equity. So the focus group challenged us to say, hey, we want more transparency. If you're going to get 3.2, what would it look like? And this is the breakdown here, 30% in scholarship, 35% in the nutrition, competitive excellence area, and then the support services and the external relations. I just truly believe if we can do that, we can make we can really make a strong impact, and at the end of the day, impact your experience and the value of this degree. So, did I leave anything out, focus group, that I mentioned last time? Good? Okay. We don't, I mean, if I mentioned this here, you can see just another format here for actually, let's go to the last 2 gauge and then I'll cut it short. Here's the average in our league right here from Old Dominion on down. Okay, the average fee, what do I have there, Gage? $698 per student. Okay, that's the average fee per student. So right now we're talking about $135, bless you, $135 per quarter. The average fee in our league is $698. $698. Can't even see it with my full eyes on. Okay, and then the next one, or was that the last one? Okay, and then as we mentioned, here's the group of 5 schools. For all those 5 conferences, the average is $511 per student. We wouldn't even be at that number with what we're including in the overall student engagement fee. So just wanted you to see, within our league, within all of group of 5, what that looks like, and so we can put that number in context a little bit in relation to the rest of it. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Gage is going to do his little thing that he does, and I'll answer.
By that, she means I'm going to
Run the
manage
meeting.
the floor. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. Go into it. Start with Caroline. Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious as to
what percentage of students go to sporting events?
What percentage of students go to sporting events?
I can't give you it for
Do
sure.
we know how many students, student attendance for football?
150 students went to Frisco, 4 hours away. I know that doesn't answer your question. I know it speaks to it a little bit.
Yeah, obviously all of our, for baseball, all of our student claims were gone in the first day. Don't have that number at football right now. Obviously a 3 and 9 season doesn't help, but I don't have that number for football. Right
Text me that question, and I'll talk to the right guy.
Yeah, I don't know what the time.
All right, Palmer.
So I guess I have like a few separate questions on the same topic. How many students are in IFC, or like just in Greek life in general?
Greek life is right, I would say right under, around 8% of the student body.
Okay.
Give or take a little bit, but that's about the average.
Instead of doing a $2 fee for all students to cover, could students in Greek life pay something like a $15 fee to cover that position for the, because I'm sure that coordinator is in very much in need, but can the students who would benefit from that pay that, and that $2 go to anything else on that list?
So,
like not trying to be rude, but like, you know, I think like that $2, like that's $50,000 that could go to helping one of the like additional like positions needed in the academic or in the athletics department, like the academic supervisor, that could go towards one of the things for underprivileged students.
Really good thought, really good concept, and I understand the concern with, you know, I'm not a part of Greek life, so why should I be paying $2 for a Greek life coordinator? But I also want to challenge you to look at the rest of that breakdown. There's all kinds of stuff that you're not a part of, but there's a lot of stuff that you are. And every student in this room can look at it and say the same exact thing, that, you know, I'm a part of this or that, but I'm not a part of this or that. Why am I paying a fee that contributes to it? And I know that's probably not the answer that you want to hear, but that's been kind of my thought process on this, because I feel the same way. I'm not a band member, I'm not a cheerleader, and I'm not champ. But you know, I'm still willing to contribute to those things, and I'm okay with paying a few dollars, because I see the benefit of having successful areas on campus that I'm not a part of. Because having a strong Greek life is believe it or not, can be a recruiting tool and can be something that contributes. Also, unfortunately, the breakdown that we have here is pretty set, unless, you know, there's an overwhelming amount of students that want to see something different. We could possibly play around with it, but what we have is what we presented to the ULS board. So.
Right, and it would not be voted on this spring if it was changed, if I'm correct, Dr. Carter. Max has a comment on.
Yeah, Palmer, just like to help you out with that perspective as well. A different way to look at it is the advisors for our councils, like MPAC, the council that me, Jam, Wynn, Kobe, we all sit on and are part of. Our advisor is Santa, who is also the director of most cultural affairs. A lot of our advisors for our organizations also serve the position on campus. By having a Greek life coordinator that can help, decreases their responsibility for taking care of us, so they can help the other students under their job. Like Wes says, like if he doesn't have to take care of Greek life, Wes can help all the other organizations he has.
Oh, I definitely see the need
work.
for
So like, yeah, Greek life, the coordinator, that fee goes to that person, but it also impacts all the other advisors, all the other organizations that help other students. So like, that's just another way to look at it. Not trying to change your mind.
Yeah.
Just respect it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, we got a question online that I can see now, and I think Dr. Woods, this is a question you can answer. Is Mr. Mittendorf says, how will this money directly help the program and equal more wins in sports?
Well, I don't, can they hear me?
Yes, they can.
Okay. Obviously, we can't guarantee success, right? But what our jobs are to do is to remove the barriers, remove the boundaries, barriers that prevent success or prohibit a level of success. So can we guarantee that these dollars correlate with more wins? Can't tell you that, right? But I can tell, you know, obviously in football, when you do win, the exposure is really just really impactful, right? And listen, Do I wish that of all years, before we come in front of you to ask, that we weren't 3-9 in football? Absolutely, okay? But on average, over that last 7 years, this program has been a 8 and 9 win team, right? And so that just helps. And I was thinking about your question some more. You know, I know at the height of a bad season, even in football, right? Because we don't know the number for all sports, and I'm glad you asked that so we can go back. But even I think at the height of homecoming, it was 3,000. But I would argue, right, when you have a 10,000 size student population and you get 3,000 at a football game, you're doing good, right? That's to have, you know, 30%, almost 40% of your student population at a football game. I would say that impacts. That's a strong impact. So, Gage, long answer. I don't mean to tap dance around it. I can't guarantee that the money correlates to more wins, but it removes the barriers for more wins, and that's what we all want in all sports.
I think Mr. Middendorf liked that answer, so we'll move on to Mr. Goolsby.
Hi. So definitely become more receptive over the course of this presentation to the idea of this fee. Really like what I've seen. However, $150 a quarter is a very large amount of money that, depending on where you're living, is comparable to rent for a month every year. So one thing I'm wondering, you mentioned that we do the free student tickets. Did y'all analyze during this discussion, like, what impact we might have by having maybe still having a fee, but like less of it, but then just also charging for tickets so that it's more shifted towards those who are participating in the athletics? Because I do see how it affects everybody and not just those who like go to sporting events. I agree with that. But that is a very standard thing to charge tickets. So I was wondering, you know, how much of an effect might that have on what the fee could be to still raise this revenue?
Sure. I would answer that it is hard enough to get, you know, students to go to any events, right? If I put a ticket amount in front of you, you're less likely to come. It's just think about the things that you have on auto draft, right? You're more likely to go, well, I've paid for it, I might as well go. But, you know, the only campuses I've been on where they actually charge the students are like University of Arkansas. There's a $90 student. They don't charge a fee, but they charge for passes, right? But they're not worried about crowds and attendance. There are going to be 15,000 students at those games, right? So I don't want to do anything that impedes student attendance. I like the thought process, but I wouldn't want to do that when we're already trying to get folks to either get to the game or to get from highway to the game, right? I don't want to do anything at this point that impacts that.
And Ian, I'll speak to that a little bit, just about the big number, because that was a lot of the focus group's work, things that we talked about. And our cutoff was just like, could this hinder, and would this hinder anybody in this room from attending Louisiana Tech? And would this hinder anybody you know from hindering Louisiana Tech? Because like Ty said, we started at a bigger number. We crunched. But we didn't want to, and focus group, you all can attest to this, we didn't want to offer a number that wasn't going to be enough beneficial change to the athletics program for us to, not necessarily, I don't want to say cause all this, but for us to go through all this, for us to, just for it to have to happen sometime in the future again, if that makes sense. We didn't want to offer a number that was subpar.
They challenged me on what number would be impactful, right? Really any number, right? But even if y'all end up voting for this at the 3.2, we're still last in the league at that, right? And so again, money doesn't always equate to wins or level of competitiveness, but we want to be more competitive in the league.
All right, Ms. Bass.
Does the athletics department not receive any support from like alumni?
Who's asking now? Say it again.
Does the athletics department not receive any support from alumni?
And you want to start?
So the question is it supported by alumni? So out of that number, about $24 million there, about 11 million of that comes from some sort of university account, some of which, about 11 comes from there. The biggest part of the rest of that comes from alumni contributions and NCAA revenues that come in. It's, you know, a couple $1 million or something like that, and game guarantees.
So whenever we play those big name programs, right? Like we're gonna play Missouri next year. We play those games to get paid, okay? Because now, ideally, you don't want to play those games, you know, and play multiple of those games, right? But when we play those teams, we get a check from them to go play that game, okay? And so we get money from that ticket sales, and then if any of our teams advance to the NCAAs, which we haven't done in a long time, so a good chunk of that is us fundraising and alumni giving back.
And I want to talk about that 11 million part just a little bit. I don't consider those real dollars. How many of you are out-of-state students? Okay? You pay a lot more fees than you really pay, right? No, we count that as expense and revenue. So, you know, your full out-of-state fee waivers, we have to show for student athletes. We have to show that total tuition and fees out of that $6 million. So basically, we provide scholarships, out-of-state fee waivers for all of the student athletes. So it's not a real cost to us. We show it as an income and cost.
All right, we're gonna circle this way. So Amanda.
Okay, so
You have to stand up. Speak up. Speak up. Don't stand up.
I was wondering why y'all chose to do like fixed athletic fees because like my brother's university they have options. Like you can do like every sport and it's one fee. You can do just football or you can do everything but football. Now granted he goes to an SEC school, so obviously bigger market. But why did y'all choose like just specifically a fixed fee versus like an optional fee or like options?
So that we can impact all 16 programs. I mean, that's the main answer, right? As I mentioned, at the University of Arkansas, they have a Razorback Fast Pass. It was $90 when I was there, maybe $100 per, and they may be able to do that. But we have issues with gender equity, right? We have issues with academics and nutrition. Those aren't sports specific. Those impact all 336, and that's whether you're on scholarship or not, you know, you're a walk-on, which is a non-scholarship. So that's why you only do that when you're not relying on student fees to battle, right? To compete in your league. And so at that level, Arkansas makes enough money with 79,000 people in their stands to only charge a student for that sport and give $2 million back to campus. LSU gives $7 million back to campus, but there's 80,000, 90,000 people in the stands, right? And so they can generate more revenue. They can generate more than we can when we're averaging more like 13,000, 14,000, right? So that's really it, so that we can impact all 16. And we're not trying to just run a football program, right? We want to make sure that every student on every sport feels like they matter and they have equal academics, nutrition, mental health, all of that, competing at the highest level. So that's the answer for that. We're just not in a position to do that.
Yeah, woo pig. Back there, Mr. Tell.
So I have a two-part question. But the first part is regarding athletics and the fee. I can understand helping improve athletics and student athletes and all that. As far as student engagement at these athletic programs, it's been proven over the years and shown, even with no fee at all to charge tickets or whatever, we have a pretty poor student outcome as fan base for football games at least, and even basketball games somewhat. I'm just trying to figure out, is this fee going to also help address that issue, or the steps, the process to addressing more student engagement at these sporting events? Because I'm in a band, and so it's frustrating for me. I can only imagine it's frustrating for the football team, for the basketball team, all these athletes who don't have as much of a big student fan base as they would like. So that's the first part of the question.
Yeah, I kind of shared the first number because even at 3,000, when we have 10,000 here, that's not a bad turnout, right? And it was homecoming, and it was, I think maybe the SMU game where we had the biggest turnout. After homecoming court exits the field, and we have a mass exodus, right? Or at halftime. So yes, the idea in that third column, which was support and external, was to figure out more student engagement things to keep you. What does that look like from concessions? What does that look like just from activities and things to do at halftime or pregame? Unless, you know, as a student body, you all decide that either way where you need to be. So that's the answer to that. Yes, part of that is for us to do that, but we have one marketing person, right? And that's the idea. We want to get some more things going, but it's just really difficult to do that with one full-time person and a bunch of students. You know, to really engage our students. So yes, that's one of the main things here, is to make that more fun, where even if you're not a football fan, you want to come for the experience, regardless of who we're playing.
All right, we can filter in a question from online from one of our sports promo people that had to leave. Dalton Deal says, having to leave to speak at an event, but what percentage of the student body has to approve this? Will it be a percentage of total student body or only those who vote? So maybe Dr. Crawford, if y'all could answer more
So
about it.
it's going to go to the full student body for a vote. So however many that
How do we know
vote,
if they vote yes or no if they don't vote?
and we just recently looked at what we've averaged over the last 5 years in the spring vote. It was anywhere from 1,100 to 1,500. I'm sorry, to 2,000, 1,100 to 2,000. So 2,000 is a lot, but I think we'll probably get about 2,000 students probably to turn out for this vote, somewhere in that 1,500 to 2,000, we hope more. But that's where we've been in that range. So however many students come to vote. We hope that the vast majority of the students, see a benefit here, but it's going to be up to the students to decide.
All right.
Dylan had one more question. You had
Oh,
two-part.
sorry, Dylan. Go ahead.
The second part of the question, though, or my other question, was kind of just for either one of y'all or Dr. Guys. You mentioned about a certain portion of the money from alumni funding. Granted, and it seems like a big number right now to us, but in the grand scheme of things, when you compare it to other schools, and I've talked to other people and other alumni, we don't have as big of alumni support as other schools. So I'm trying to figure out what, like, if we can get more alumni engagement to help that support. Because this is just from talk. Like, it could be non-factual rumors, but this is just from what I hearsay from younger alumni, even some faculty members. They don't think that we have as much of alumni support as other schools do.
I'll let Dr. Wood weigh in on that, but looking at the Conference USA numbers, our alumni contributions to the operating of the athletics program is significantly larger than all the others. What our alumni like to do, and when you're alumnus, you're going to want to do is too, we feel to enhance the facility. We had a meeting today in the Doug Boulware Education room. Doug was a football player. He came back and gave to academics because he believed in that. That's what he believed. That's what our alumni want to do. They paid for the press box and the suites. They paid for a significant part of the DAC. They're going to pay for a significant part of the advancement to the north end zone. They paid $4 million to allow us to do gender equity improvements for softball and soccer. So that's where they want to use their dollars, and that's why we need to not over-depend on them. Is that fair?
That's fair. A lot of donors don't want to give to operational needs, right? They want their name on a building, or they want to impact, as Dr. Guy said, they don't want to give to some things they think the university could be doing. So, great question.
Camden?
Okay, so mine's more not as a question, but like a statement. Neither about like supporting nor declining this fee. In my opinion, in my almost 3 years that I've been on this campus, the 3 people in this room, you've only been here for a year and 4 months, but Dr. Guy, Dr. Copper, and Dr. Wood, all of them have been, they've always had the student's best interest at heart. And I kind of highlighted on what PR said earlier. I would not trust an administration more than the current one we have now to handle this situation, due to the fact that these 3 people in this room that have come to speak to us today have always had our best interest at heart, no matter what it was. I mean, during COVID, we got daily emails from Dr. Guys. What other university in the nation and the state did the president of the university address the student body every single day? These people care about us. And I'm not saying like I'm not trying to dog on you if you don't support it, and I'm not saying I do support it because obviously like it's an increase in fees, like more money. But in my opinion, I see this as an investment. I mean, for me, like I pay to use the Lambright. Do I use the Lambright every day? No. But
all right.
But it is there for our use. It's there for the people who want to use it. That all you have to do is literally just go in there and scan your ID, and you don't have to pay. Like you're already paying something, but I mean, I'm part of the people who pays for that, but I don't utilize it. And I'm not saying that like that's a bad thing, but it's there for your use. I'm not a part of Greek life. I'm not a minority student on this campus, but I see this as an investment because when we do become alumni, we want to have a university that we're proud of. And in my opinion, this fee, it's $150. Like in the long run, this $150 is going to turn into something so much bigger. So I think we should look at it with an open mind and trust the administration that we have before us because they've always had our best interest at heart. So, not really a question, but still.
Thank you. All right, coming down this way. Jamar, do you have some?
I had something to add and continue the administration if we are correctly on this. With the voting as well, I know in our meetings we mentioned this yesterday actually. If the voting turnout is not great, like if it's very low, we can still not put this in place, correct?
Right, yes.
Yeah. So even if it's 90% and it's only 500 students that vote, okay, well, that's not the turnout. Like, your assistant's not going to let them do this. So, my point is, like, if you are for it, make sure people turn out and vote and use our right to vote. This is life. That's going to be the same way we public elections. So, make sure people are turning out to vote so whatever side you're on is shown in the polling.
Especially if we have very low competition in the Big Four. Exactly.
Patrick?
My only question is this 100% contingent on students voting in favor
Yes.
of this increase?
Yeah, 100%. That's the last step. That's May 8th. I mean, April 8th. So sorry. Don't get mad.
Caroline.
Okay, I have a question about statements that Dr. Wood had mentioned earlier. So I know you said that at other schools, professors were attracted to those schools because of the athletics program. So have you guys asked professors what attracted them to Louisiana Tech, and if so, was it sports?
Yeah, so I'm making a statement that, having worked on these different campuses, the way they were introduced to that campus was through a national game that they saw on TV. Wow, Ohio State. Oh, wow, like they're in the national championship. And then they find out that they also have a strong program in their area of expertise. So what I'm saying is oftentimes athletics serves as the front porch. Was it the reason they went there? No, but it was the front porch for what exposed them to what is this place that everybody seems to know really well. So that was the purpose of my statement, is saying sometimes you've never heard of a school until you're gathering at a national championship party, or you're coming to a Frisco and you notice there's another school there, and then you start looking a little bit into it. I have being from New York City. I promise you, as a kid from the Bronx, nobody's ever heard of Louisiana Tech in the Bronx. Okay, but because I'm here now and they're following me and they get a chance to watch us on TV and on Facebook and all the streaming, all of a sudden they're like, hey, we want to come visit. Hey, my son loves Kenny Lofton Jr. He wants to play basketball at Louisiana Tech now, right? So that's what I meant by that statement. Was that the reason they chose University of North Carolina? Nope, but they might have been exposed to it through athletics. It makes them dig deeper, and that they have a really strong program in their area of expertise. That's what
And Caroline, I know you have more
Talk
questions.
about reputation, which part of that is.
Yeah, and quick follow-up question.
Wait 1 second. I just want to speak to that a little bit. So this was like a student-led fee. So I know y'all are engaging a lot of questions with them, but I just want to say, like, we didn't. These are the only people in West Texas that were involved in these conversations, because yeah, we could have talked to faculty, but this isn't really about them. This is a student fee. This is about y'all. This is about me. This is about us as a collective group. And I think one way that it could affect faculty is that if we do if this fee does pass and it does accomplish the things that I believe wholeheartedly that it could, our enrollment will grow. That means we can hire more. That means we can hire more professors. We can give raises to our professors, Dr. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. We can, that's how it would benefit faculty. I don't see it kind of hindering faculty at all, and it's not really about them. But you can go on. Sorry to cut you off.
You're good. And then a follow-up question from the statement you made earlier about how, you know, we're not getting people private jets, but coaches don't have those. I was just curious as to how Coach Cumby arrived for his first initial interview or press conference, because I heard some things about him getting private jets, so I just was curious if you could clear that up for us.
Yeah, so that's a good point. What I've said was we are not, this money does not go to our coaches to use private jets for recruiting. We don't get on planes to recruit. We can drive, and then that's partly because we don't have the money to do that. He arrived on a donor plane for his introductory press conference, as did I. Right? That's a gift that a donor says, hey, let's make this real easy to get the press conference done, get them back to their job. So the statement that I made as a point of clarification was that these funds don't go to Sonny Cumby's salary, then they don't go to him using that to get private planes, where many schools do use their funds for that. But that's not what we're doing.
All right. Go ahead.
All right, so I was.
Oh, I'm sorry. Abraham. You good? I'm coming this way.
Not to be a pessimist, but just to know, if this initiative does not pass, do you have a fallback plan?
We're going to keep plugging along. There's no way I can look at our president and say, the students didn't vote, we're going to keep being 3 and 9, and we're never going to make it. That's not going to fly, right? It's not who I am anyway from a competitive standpoint. But all we're asking to do is be more competitive in the league that we belong to. That's what we're asking. We don't have a backup plan for, well, students are out. You know, we're going to keep raising money.
And the same thing I would say, you know, from the other areas as well. We're not going to just say, okay, we can't grow in enrollment, we can't grow in retention. We've got to grow in enrollment, we've got to grow in retention. And so we're going to keep recruiting, we're going to keep trying to be successful in the classroom and outside the classroom. You know, we're going to keep fighting the good fight, so to speak. But these are resources that can help.
Yeah. When our admissions counselors go to Frisco, go to Mississippi, go to high schools in Texas, if we've played there, right, that just gives the students that live in those particular areas some exposure to Louisiana Tech. So it's not the first time they're hearing about it when Dean Speed or any of our admissions folks show up or do a college fair in that area. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. We played North Texas. We played these schools. So, but, yeah, we're not going to shut down and close the doors. We're going to try to compete as best we can in that league with the budget we do have.
Yeah, and one thing that Dr. Wood said this morning was that coaches always come up to him, athletic directors, always presidents, always come up to him and say, like, wow, like Louisiana Tech, I'm going to misquote him, but it's going to be something in the line. Like, Louisiana Tech always outperforms even despite their low budget. And it's just crazy to me to hear things like that, because I never even put it in perspective for me. Because, you know, I don't really dabble in athletics. I go to the games because I think it's fun. But I don't really know, I didn't know anything about the department itself until this experience. And so that was something that really opened my eyes. It's just like, you know, it's just kind of like what if? What could we do? And so it's like, we do kind of chug, like Dr. Wood said, like right now, but it's just like, what could we do? Like, and one thing that Sarah wanted me to say, she had to step out. That's why I checked my phone. So Sarah was is ex-athlete. She was a cross-country runner, and she also ran track. And as a female athlete, also she goes after everything that Dr. Wood says. But one of the things that she wanted to speak to on the nutrition aspect of it is just that, like, how is this going to help performance? Well, she said that she would get done running and not have anything to recharge. Her body would just be, and they couldn't provide her anything. And that's nothing to speak ill of athletics, but that's just to talk about her experience. And so I thought, Sarah's somebody you knew, so I thought that would be beneficial for y'all to hear. It's just like, that's a little tiny detail that you might think, but it affects not only Sarah, but like her whole all of her teammates. Just because they don't have the ability to recharge after they compete for our university, show our brand, and represent Louisiana Tech. They don't have the things to help their body after they do that for us, in a sense.
All right, we're gonna I'll come back. I'm gonna circle over here and answer questions on this side, or select people to ask questions. My brother King, come on.
So just a quick little numbers question. I saw that the $150 was quarterly fee, right?
Yeah.
So is the revenue that corresponds to that quarterly as well, or is that annual? Annual.
Great
And
question.
this fee is, one thing I don't think we mentioned, sorry, so sorry, is this is per full-time student. So if you're not a so non-traditional students will not be charged this full fee. It'll be prorated, just like all of our other fees. I think that's really important for you guys to understand. If you're not a full-time student, you're not gonna pay this full $150 because you're not on campus. So that it won't inhibit our non-traditional students. Like that.
Okay, Micah.
Personally, it's my first day. I haven't seen budget breakdowns or whatever, but I personally think that the sports clubs make it use a few extra dollars on that. Because I know that with our intramurals, we're paying our refs I think like $7.50 a game, and so a lot of people don't want to play intramurals because the refs are kind of not great. So
Hold on, Micah. Although I'm sure it's an important conversation, let's suspend the chatter, please. Okay, Micah, continue.
I think that's one opportunity that we could reach out to try to get more student involvement in that. And also I know like our club volleyball team, they had to pay a fee to use the Memorial Gym, I'm pretty sure. And I don't know if that's like a normal thing or I guess it's bad, because that seems like we're not supporting them very well.
Memorial Gym isn't athletics. It's the kinesiology department.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the fee for Memorial Gym, but I wasn't aware of that.
It might be a kinesiology.
Yeah, maybe. I know they normally practice at about 5 o'clock in the morning at the Lambright, because I see them up there pretty regularly practicing, so I'm not sure about the Memorial Gym.
Let's go to the game, and apparently they have to pay a fee for that, which, this is down the line of people talking, so I don't know, but it seems like we don't support them very well if we're making them pay a fee to play a game,
Right.
So one thing we mentioned, just to reiterate, on sports clubs, they have to raise a significant portion of their money to travel, to buy uniforms. University matches what they raise, but they spend a lot of their time in sports clubs raising money to do the things they do to compete. So this will help offset some of that.
Awesome, thank you. All right, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I want to know more about the fee breakdown. I know y'all said that the money given for studies was like the minimum amount that y'all felt would be a significant improvement, and y'all can have to go back and do that. Was that same concern for the other amounts y'all put for the other?
Yeah, so
We, when we started conversations, we met with, or Kiara and myself, or Kiara on her own, met with directors and deans of every single one of these areas, and asked them, what is a number that you think would be impactful? What is a number that you think would be not necessarily impactful compared to your current budget? And then how would you use that money? So we got feedback from all of these areas, and to be honest with you, I spent hours just playing around with the numbers on the spreadsheet. It's looked a million different ways over the last couple months. So we played around with it a lot just to see, how much 25-cent increase or decrease makes a difference here or there, to play around and kind of wanted to square everything off. But as far as the numbers here go, we got feedback from people who oversee those departments to make sure that it was going to be impactful and that it was something that they were going to be content with.
yeah, and one of the Jam actually brought this up. It was a great point. So we get SGA. We get $4.50 per quarter per full-time student. Just to put that in perspective for y'all. And one of the things is that Jam wanted to make sure, hey, we got to make mental health that is for all students. So that's why it's the higher number. So we had conversations like that for each and every category, just like it's for all students. We don't want one, it'd be crazy of us to have Greek life have $7 when SGA, the governing body of all the students, only gets $4.50. You know what I mean? Just certain, we didn't want to give sectors all students. We took a lot of that into consideration, if that makes sense. But just to put that in perspective for all of you that didn't know, we get $4.50 per quarter SGA.
Okay, we'll go to Dolly.
No, speak up.
I just had a comment about what Camden said earlier and what Kiara just said too, because I was also in this meeting, in
I said earlier, like this is gonna happen eventually, and like, how cool would it be if like we were the leaders who made this happen, who like went back to our clubs and our organizations and we were like, hey, this is a really good idea. You're an international student. You pay so much for this university already. Here's a way that your university can help you out. You're a Black student. You're a Hispanic student. This is a way they can help you. You're in Greek life, we got you. You're in a band, we got you. Like that kind of thing. You're in athletics, they got you. Yeah, just keep that in mind. I also was like, no, screw that. But like, this is gonna go a long way for a lot of students. So don't just think about yourself. Think about your organizations. Think about everyone.
Yeah, and sorry, I know we run a long time, but I just want to speak a little bit to what Dolly said is like, everything that we do as an SGA, everything that we do as a student today, what do I always tell you? It's to better the experiences of all students, and all students means the next students. All students mean the students from 15 years from now. And in 15 years from now, maybe somebody proposes a whopping $900 athletic fee, and all the students are like, oh yeah, let's do it, Kendall, let's go. But what happens to all the areas that we talked about, that Dahlia talked about? And I wish that we could give money to literally everybody. I wish I could give you all a stimmy, give you all a stimulus check, but we can't. And this, I think, is like what Dahlia said, this group of people had y'all in mind. Every single person that represented you in that meeting, whether they were the IFC president, the Panhellenic president, the ISA president, the VSU president, me, the SGA president, they thought about you, and I thought about all of you, because that's my job. Got me?
Can I make one?
Oh yeah, Dr. Dawson. You don't have to.
One other big picture thing, just so you know, this university has an operating budget of about $125 million from the state. We get $27 million. That's all. And then when I get that $27 million, I have to write that check back to the state to pay for something called unfunded accrued liability that basically higher ed picks up. So we really net no dollars from the state. Out of that 125 million, I will tell you that we dedicate $45 million to scholarships. We believe in you, and we invest those because you're good students and you deserve that. And so anyway, just big picture kind of thing.
Thank you, Dr. Dyson. Okay, Ethan, what you got?
Yeah, so I just kind of want to emphasize also everything that Jan said, and I couldn't say it in my report, but the voting initiatives, largely are going to be geared towards people seeing what file looks like, people knowing how to vote, different areas that ballots have never been before, trying to set up maybe virtual voting booths in that regard. And so, this isn't just whenever we finished the meeting yesterday, that was the first thing that we kind of talked about, was just how we were going to be able to spread this and make sure that this included almost every aspect of campus in that regard. And so, this is being proposed to you all first, so that you guys can go and take this to your respective corners, even if it's within your own friend groups. This is going to be a center conversation piece, and whenever you're dealing with people's money, you will get a little bit more protective of it, obviously. I don't want people reaching in my wallet. I got $20 without my permission, that sort of stuff. But so this is kind of more of if you have the questions, ask them now, and if you don't have them now, then you have them later. There are going to be resources that are available for you to be able to educate yourself more and talk to other people. And if you want to help out with that, please come find me, because I definitely want that to succeed.
The economist perspective. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think the fee is it's interesting. The main premise that I come from is whether or not this fee is effective. And so I looked at Old Dominion because if you went back to that slide, they're the ones that gave the most money, right? So they're the top one. And since 2014, they've had one winning season. And so it's what is the correlation, or is there causation, ice cream and murder rates to Old Dominion, or to football and money, or to just athletics in general and having fun?
Now, so their budget is at $46 million, $26 million of it comes from their students. They had just recently transitioned from being a FCS school in the Colonial Athletic Association, so they just haven't had the history, right, of having enough success and enough time to really build a program. But UTSA was in the same way, and they won the league, where they transitioned in right around the same time. So, as I stated to the gentleman, I believe it was a gentleman that asked about the correlation. Is there a direct correlation? No, but here's what I'll tell you. As this conference realignment started to happen, the commissioner of the American Athletic Conference wasn't even looking at us because our budget has a tube in front of it, right? That league gets $7 million per year from ESPN. That allows them to be more competitive on the national level, which is why 6 of our schools bolted to go that way, right? And so that's what happens. If and when that happens again, we want our institution to be competitive. We want to be in that league, right? And so to Kiara's point, the ODU athletics director came up to me and said, how in the world do you have your men's and women's team in a championship game with what you guys have? And that's tech. That's tech, right? Fighting above your weight class. So the comment is, what do we do if we had ODU's money? With our history, our reputation, the number of people that have gone on from here, that's the difference, right? ODU's still a young institution. They have a larger student base, and half of their budget comes from a student fee, right? That's what we're saying. We just want to get in the mix there. Imagine what we could do when we're already doing this on the lowest budget. Does that answer?
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic answer. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll come down this way. Let's see. Who had? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I just kind of want to make a comment. Kind of going off like what Dahlia said in regards to taking a step back. We're all in SGA because we want to be leaders on this campus and represent all students, not just a set of students. And so I think we all need to kind of take a step back. I understand that this is a big increase in fees. Especially with me being an African-American student that doesn't come from a big household, I understand how this would impact financially. But just take a step back and think about how transparent the administration has been with us in regards to these statistics and numbers, in regards to how this can affect and impact our institution for years to come. Personally, I wouldn't want to come back to an institution that I feel like has not progressed. And I think our administration has done a great job in the past couple of years with how we've progressed. And so in order for us to continue that, I think this would be a great way to do that. So I just want to urge y'all to take a step back and not think about yourself in this moment, but the students that you serve and how this may impact them, their student experience for future years to come.
All right. Before we get, I know a few of you probably have a comment. Do we have any more questions? Oh, okay. Well, right
you
there
have
in
a
the
question,
back.
raise
Go
your
ahead.
hand now.
Go ahead.
This may potentially be a really stupid question. Are you allowed to use money that you collect labeled as tuition towards things like this?
Wait.
My thinking is.
This.
If you
You're
raise
saying.
tuition,
Wait.
then maybe TOPS would cover it.
She's.
Is that something?
So the legislator, you can't raise tuition. She's asking why can't we raise tuition instead of cost to cover it? That's it. That's.
Why we can't raise tuition?
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Instead of fees.
So, again, the board, the University of Louisiana System Board has to give approval for any university to increase tuition. And they're not in the mood for increasing tuition. They would tend to increase it all across our system. And I will tell you, since I've been president, we had to increase some tuition in the first 3 years or so when the state was just cutting the funding, and the only way we could kind of try to stay even was to increase tuition and fees at that time. And then for the past several years, we really haven't had to do that. So that's been great. But we didn't, even though we increased tuition fees, we really didn't elevate ourselves because of what the state was taking away from us.
This is a question for Dr. Wheeler. Whenever you stated something about
giving more back to students, such as like t-shirts during the games and stuff like that. And while t-shirts is like a small way to give back to students, I do think it's very great because it helps current and future students by giving back directly. I was wondering if you could go more into that.
Yeah, so the idea would be, I use t-shirts because even at 45 years old, I love a t-shirt, okay? I grabbed one at the Conference USA tournament just because you just love a free t-shirt, right? But the idea would be that we would arm our marketing staff with more engaging things, more promotion. We can go out and get more sponsorships. We can have more students to help us and have a t-shirt gun and just have more things that we can involve in. And that takes money, and whether that's the money to hire more interns. Right, some people will do it for free or credit or just to get their resume, but we have to pay students to work, right? And so it's an opportunity for us to just get more swag, more giveaways, more things that if you go, oh, we're playing, I don't even want to mention it, we're playing a school that you don't particularly care about, but that's a great environment to go to. I still want to go. That's our desire, is that we have the resources to make it fun regardless of who we're playing. So if you're not there, you're like, man, I'm missing out. I need to be there, right? So that's what we want to do with the marketing efforts, is to get more, provide more internships for those of you that might be interested, paid internships, but also to get more things and promotional items faster.
And to add on to that a little bit, aside from things that cost money to benefit students and listening to students, and I'm going to tread lightly here, but just to show y'all how much the administration, athletics, and on this side of campus are listening to the student body. A lot of y'all probably heard, saw a group message. They've started alcohol sales. That's something that they listen to the student body and worked really hard to accomplish. Because they want students at the games and they want to do something. They want to do things that are going to improve the game day experience and improve the atmosphere. So they're listening to you guys and they want to give y'all the best experience possible, whether that's offering something that you've requested or giving things that are going to appeal to you that cost them money that they're going to give away.
The declining balance,
yeah,
right? The concession area,
Yeah.
All those things that we heard from students to say, you know, this would make it better. We'd like to use our declining balance, you know, over there. We got that done with Dr. Crawford within like 48 hours, right? So a lot of a listening tour over the first year to find out what would make you want to come and participate. We know when we've got a great crowd, it provides a home court advantage, and we got a better chance every day.
Awesome. All right, we're taking two more questions. Put your hands down. It's going to be from those two gentlemen right there. Mr. Deloach, go ahead.
So, one of my questions that I have is that I know that we were trying to get the fee as low as possible down to $150, and I know that y'all talked to each of the departments to find out what would make the meaningful difference. But I'm wondering, is this fee something that is going to gradually go up over time as we need more money, or is this going to be fixed? And if it's not, if it is going to be fixed, is it really enough? If we've gotten to the minimal amount that it needs to be, is it really going to make that difference? Or do we need to maybe look at making it a little greater?
So that was something that we thought about a lot when we decided on the final number, was we don't want to initiate a fee, you know, even if it's beneficial now, and then 5 years down the road, things have changed again, and we need more money, we got to go ask the students again for a fee. That's not the plan here. You know, obviously we can't speak for 10 or 15 years down the road, but that wasn't the goal. It's fixed. This is the number that's going to pay until, and hopefully this doesn't happen for a very long time, but until somebody else comes along and decides to reassess it and say that we need an increase.
It would have to get board approval and student vote.
Let me say this too again. I think the goal, again, back to the goal of this university is we want to grow enrollment and grow retention. We want to help students be successful. We get them here to help them be successful. So as the student body grows, that number grows, but on the right side. You know, because the more students here, just like the older media, mentioned about older media, you know, the more students, the more revenue, so you can keep the cost per student lower. And so that number is going to grow if we grow enrollment. And the whole goal is to let's have a university that attracts students and it helps them graduate. We have the highest retention rate in the state of Louisiana now. We have the highest graduation rate, and we want to see that even get higher. And so, but you know, we want to see that grow. So we don't do anything that hurts our ability to recruit. We want to enhance it, we'll just enhance it, which enhances revenues. Does that help?
For sure.
I just had a comment, so I don't wanna block anyone if they have any questions, that they need to answer.
Okay, well then Camden, go ahead.
I don't know if this has already been stated, but say, student body votes for it, it's approved, when would this go in place, and would the summer quarter be included in that, or no?
Fall.
But it will begin for this coming fall, but then, yes, summer would be included after that. When we begin.
Not this summer. Was that your question?
Yeah, so would it just be students who are enrolled in the summer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
This goes on your boss account under tuition and fees, just like everything else.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
All right.
I think that's going to wrap up our
Yeah.
question period. As always, if you have more questions, you can come seek and counsel
Oh.
any of the people here. PR.
So just, if you do have any more questions, and if other people have questions, we're going to be pushing out more information through our social medias, but we're also, Bronson and I are going to go and try to create a tab on our website with lots more detailed information.